We have these panacea things happening now. And I want to leave a message. Nothing is a panacea. We have a complicated life. We have a complicated nation. We have strength because of this diversity. When our diversity is used as differences of ideas, getting different perspectives, it's terrific. No other nation has that. We've got to make sure our diversity doesn't ever change into divisions. That's when we get in trouble. These are big issues. We've got a strength here we have to really grab and make hold of. So, you know, the Battle of New Jersey, it was built here. Then I became so I work in industry, and I became a professor. I became a dean. Then I spent 14 years at the National Science Foundation. Now, my main purpose for being at this lectern personally is to ensure that all the kids, like Benjamin Franklin, everybody's got to be educated. All the kids have the opportunity to realize their talents and their skills. That's the basic bottom line. So we got to pull out of these kids. We have to have these kids understand what those skills and talents. And if we do that well, we'll find out. You know, what you're hearing this morning is this works. Get these kids to see the stuff. Get these kids into it so they have a chance to do that. And then we can be formidable. Now, let me talk about the panacea issue. I think most people in this audience have read the book by Friedman. It's a good book, The Flat World. The World is Flat. And as soon as that happened, that book is a good book. But all it does in essence is say that we become connected more. The world is flat in the sense that we can, you know, click any place in the world just like that. I have a student who's an astronaut, and getting telephone calls and getting email from the space station is sort of neat. But we can do this now. So it enables us to do things that we couldn't do before. So what the world is flat is it just extended in a technological sense what has happened all the way through the history of the world. And that is, you take Socrates, who convinced his friend Academus to give him a grove in which he did what? Make connections to learn. And as we go forward through history, there are all kinds of connections. You know, there are all bunches of them. Some force, things like that. The telegraph. By the way, the first telegraph signal from Baltimore to, I pick up what Tony said a bit about Philadelphia. Most people don't know this. It shows a little change in how our city has changed and how the world has changed a bit. But the first telegraph signal from Baltimore to Washington, what had got wrought, was sent on wire by the Moore Wire Company, which had a plant at 4th and Ray Streets. That plant is now the Wire Works, an apartment building. Okay? So there are a lot of things that have happened along the line that are really sort of cute in a sense. All right, so let's go back to the flat world. I'm trying to make it simplify. It's just more connection, but it's empowering. And also within that flat world idea, we have both empowerment, and the more empowerment we get, the more delicacy we have in our hands. The internet is powerful. The internet goes down and crashes. You know, we're talking about putting a smart grid on the internet. We have to have people, and going back to the truth of science, our designers and our builders and our operators have to be astute graduates, not just graduates. They have to be ready at any moment to handle this complexity. Joe Holden mentioned about community colleges not being on the slide. They're very important right now because they can quickly give short-term training as the technology changes fast. And one of the ideas, of course, for all of this is to get pre-K to PhD and postdoc, all that aligned so everybody's talking to everybody else so we know what's going on. That's the purpose of all this. It's communication. It's sharing information. And not pressing anybody to link with anybody. If you see and know what's going on, you're going to automatically link with this stuff. Okay, so the flat world. And now we say, boy, what happened right after the Flat World book? You get all these bills in Washington based on this idea of a flat world. Now, let me tell you, the world has a flatness in that sense. It's a metaphor. But listen to these other two metaphors. Joseph Stiglitz, an economist, has been talking, the world's not flat. It's sort of a complicated place. And you get, I think Richard Florida did some graphics where he took the globe as a ball, a globe, and then graphically showed where all the wealth was being created on the planet. And so you had spikes, and the spikes were very high if a lot of wealth was being created, a little bit low. When you looked at that, you saw relatively few spiky places, maybe 20, where the wealth's being created, and then would you have left? Valleys of desperation. You know, what's happening is a separation of the wealth creation, and we all know that's an issue that's very, very important. So you can't just take the flat world, which is very important, and forget this other piece. And that's part of what we're trying to do too. It's more than equity. It's we can't afford to lose one mind. I'm not going to mention the university, but I just was reading some statistics yesterday about this issue of PhDs who are foreign nationals. The United States has had a policy from the very beginning that's really rich. We'll take minds from any place. We welcome you. That's not the issue when we talk about Navy needs citizens. You know, companies need people who can do secure things. These are real issues. That doesn't mean you stop the flow of brains from everywhere. What it means is those brains aren't going to come one of these days. You're going to have China and India develop a middle class. Why would those kids come here when they can have their own mortgages, their own cars, their families? You know, the people who immigrated here many times tore their families apart. They never went back to see them, many of them. So if we're left without the minds that we're getting in from abroad, we're going to be in deep trouble here. So these are big, big issues. The last metaphor for the world, there are some saying that, and this is really important, hardly anybody talks about. You never hear it in the talk shows on Sunday or anything. And that's the issue of globalization's moved fast so quickly that the political system of the world can't follow it. Our world is based on nation states, about 200 of them or so. And the issue of a nation state, the whole idea of a nation state, in its basic idea, is to protect its citizens. Now, how are we going to do that well in an economy that's global? We don't know what an American company is or anybody. It's global. Now, you don't fight it. This is what the technology is driven. So we have to know how to embrace technology and move ahead forward in a very, very positive way. I'll go back to this thing of empowerment of technology and its delicacy. We have to make sure our graduates graduate with a sense of benevolent use of technology and not malevolent. And we all know what's happening in the world right now with malevolent use of technology. So these are deep, deep issues. And I wanted to share those thoughts with you so we put within the sense of what we're doing here on our mind. We're in this envelope. And this is really, really important what we're all trying to do. It's really, really important. Let me just give an example again of my career, 1950 to now today, 50 years. We've gone, this is a nice thing, especially in Philadelphia, because all the kids have been to the Franklin Institute, and that statue of Benjamin Franklin weighs 30 tons. Okay, now you can metaphorize this whole idea. We've gone from the first computer, the first all-electronic, general purpose digital computer built at 33rd and Walnut Streets, weighed 30 tons. We've gone from 30 tons to the world in our hands, under our thumbs. That's where we are right now. And there are a couple billion people that have these things in their hands right now. It's enormous. So how are we going to prepare these kids for things that are going to come we don't even know about it yet? This is a serious issue. Okay, I just got the slice here. I always obey the slice, and thank you very, very much, because that's what I wanted. I think I got the points across. Let me end with one quote from James Madison, so we put a little national thing and not just Benjamin Franklin, who we own here in Philadelphia. He had a wonderful quote, and again, it relates to all these things that we're thinking of back then, which form our country. He said, "What spectacle can be more edifying or more seasonal than that of liberty and learning, each leaning on the other for their surest and mutual support?" That's what we're going for. Thank you.